I remember the days when South Korean cars were considered, to be frank, junk. My, how things have changed. Hi guys, Eric here and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be having a look at a 2015 Hyundai i20 1.2 Motion. Now this might be the entry level to Hyundai's i20 range, but there's much more to it than you might think. In fact, it is thanks to this car's predecessor that Hyundai, and Kia for that matter, shares such a big piece of the automotive sales pie here in the Republic of South Africa. That predecessor is the Hyundai Getz. The Getz premiered at the 2002 Geneva Motor Show. When it arrived in South Africa, people immediately took to it. It was quite the accomplishment because, as I've mentioned before, South Africans don't easily forget, and when Hyundai initially arrived here, their products weren't exactly refined, or pretty, or different, or good. But the Getz changed all those preconceptions, as it was a massive sales success. Cheaper than its rivals while offering better spec, as well as a comparable driving experience and a 4-star Euro NCAP safety rating, made for a car that was destined to dominate. More than that, however, it changed the way we think about South Korean cars. They weren't a joke anymore. Needless to say, Hyundai had some big shoes to fill when it came to its replacement. Cue the i20. Designed by Thomas Burkle and launched here on July 2009, it ran alongside the Getz for some time and was available with two Gamma engines. The 1.4 developed 74 kilowatts and 136 Newton meters of torque and was mated to either a 5-speed manual or, from early 2010, a 4-speed torque converter. The 1.6 developed a healthy 91 kilowatts and 156 Newton meters of torque and was solely available with a 5-speed manual. Suspension came in the form of McPherson struts in the front and a torsion beam at the rear. The steering was also rack and pinion, a very standard B-segment setup. Spec was really generous. Across the board, you got electric windows, remote central locking, USB and auxiliary input, 2 airbags, impact sensing door unlock, air conditioning, and anti-lock brakes with electronic brake distribution. What was sadly missing though was electronic stability program, a crucial omission in my opinion. Even so, the European version that had it fitted scored the maximum 5-star safety rating at the Euro NCAP. The facelift, like the one we have here, launched in the second half of 2012. It was an extensive refresh. Its design was much more in line with what the rest of Hyundai's lineup was. To me, it looks a lot sharper and modern. It has also aged very well, particularly from the front. The interior received a redesign too. More trendy piano black plastic and less outdated silver painted plastic was the order of the day. Initially, it was only released with a 1.4 Gamma engine, but a couple of months later, they added the entry-level 1.2 4-cylinder petrol engine with 64 kilowatts and 136 Newton meters of torque, as well as a 1.4 CRDI turbo diesel engine developing 66 kilowatts and a fizzy 220 Newton meters of torque. The diesel, though, commanded quite a high price tag, which hindered possible sales. Even more changes happened elsewhere. There was more focus given to noise, vibration, and harshness levels. This was the pre-facelift car's main bugbear. The quieter and more refined cabin made a big difference in the driving experience. The mid-range Fluid and top-of-the-range Glide models gained Bluetooth as well as side and curtain airbags as standard. The entry-level Motion is the trim we have here, so let's have a closer look. It truly is remarkable what Hyundai has achieved with the i20. Even back in 2012, the cabin is simplistic and non-confrontational. The dials are nice and big and easy to read, and the only extra information you have is the total distance traveled. I wouldn't call it boring at all. I wish though I could say that about the outside. This car kind of reminds me of an appliance. It lacks a certain personality. I can really tell that our Hyundai has put a lot of thought into the safety of their customers. The steering mounted controls for the stereo being one of them, and the other being the monocolor infotainment system that is placed in the driver's eye line, which means you don't have to look down when you want to see what radio station you're on, for instance. This infotainment system also houses the trip information and the fuel consumption of your car. It is very easy to find a comfortable driving position in the i20, thanks in no small part to height adjustment for the driver's seat, as well as a steering wheel that is adjustable for reach, as well as rake, which is great for an entry-level B-segment car like this. Couple that with front electric windows, auxiliary and USB input for the stereo, power steering, anti-lock brakes with electronic brake distribution, as well as 2 airbags, and this entry-level B-segment car offers you more than you can possibly need. It also offers ample storage space. With the exception of the door pocket situation, the front being too narrow and not having rear door pockets at all, the glove box in particular is very big. There's also 2 cup holders that are nice and deep, another little compartment in front of the gear lever where you can store your phone, and underneath the climate controls is another closable, albeit small compartment where you can house credit cards or coins or something like that. For a small car, there is a big sense of space in the i20. Thanks to the tall windows, visibility is great and the cabin feels bright and airy. Couple that with ample rear knee and headroom, and rear passengers won't complain at all when they ride with you. Following the theme of space, the boot is also a very good size. The rear seats fold flat, and I mean flat, in a 60-40 split thanks to the seat bases that can be folded forwards. The only drawback is the boot's floor is quite deep, which means that you have to lift things over the bumper. Also, where the rear seats fold down, there is a ridge that gets in the way when you want to slide things from the boot to the front of the cabin. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's see how it drives. The best way to describe driving the i20 is more than adequate, if not perfect. This car is mostly at home around town, with its very nice and light steering and a tight enough turning circle to navigate cramped parking spaces and navigating in and out of rush hour traffic. The 1.2-litre 4-cylinder engine develops 64 kilowatt. It has a surprising amount of pep, especially when pulling away. However, if you live higher up from the sea level, it can feel a tad gutless, so it's best to stick with the 1.4-litre. Ergonomically, everything is where you expect it to be. I am particularly happy to see that Hyundai hasn't made the same mistake that it did with this i10 to switch the volume rocker and the radio tuner around. Now, it makes sense to have the volume knob closer to the driver, but I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally changed radio stations when I really wanted to turn the volume down or up. It can be quite frustrating. Another thing that takes some getting used to is the wiper stalk and the indicator stalk. I'm used to the indicators being on my left, but in the Hyundai, as well as a couple of other manufacturers, it is on my right. Now the problem is when I want to make a left or right turn, suddenly the wipers are on full steam and I can't tell which position it is to turn them back off. Meanwhile, I've missed my turn, I've veered into oncoming traffic, I've killed a mother squirrel, and I've made friends with a very kind lamppost. Luckily, the stalks are nicely damped, and when you own this car, you will definitely get used to the positioning of the controls. Thanks to improved noise, vibration and harshness levels, driving this car on the motorway is no chore whatsoever. It doesn't feel like you need to scream at your passenger in order to be heard at our national speed limit. However, because of the low torque curve, when you want to overtake at speed, it requires you to drop a cog or two and also to plan far ahead. It can be quite, let's say, exciting at times. Get this car out on the twisties, however, and you realize that fun, this car is not. The steering is quite vague and lifeless, and there's also a bit of body roll in the corners. Thankfully, grip levels are very high, so you never feel unsafe. As well, you never should, because buying this Hyundai i20 is a very, very safe purchasing decision. Reliability, as with most Hyundais, is excellent, and it does most things admirably. Added to that, because the i20 is so sought after, resale values remain very strong. Forgive its blandness and you will be more than happy with your purchasing decision. Well done, Hyundai! Thank you so much for watching another one of my reviews. Please remember to subscribe and like this video if you'd like to see more, and comment on different cars you would like to see, and if you maybe have a car that you want to have reviewed. I'm based in the Western Cape of South Africa, so please feel free, it will help my channel grow. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Until next time, bye.